What's up everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're returning to my series where we look at the best fighters in the world. I give you 5 things that they are exceptional at with training tips so you can become a little bit more like them when you're executing your moves in the gym. And today we are focusing on UFC interim featherweight champion. I'm gonna probably say his first name wrong. Yair Rodriguez. I'm just gonna call him Rodriguez for this episode filming. What we're gonna do is we're gonna look at this spectacular Mexican featherweight who has incredible striking, like really good for an MMA fighter. And we're just gonna have some fun watching this guy's beautiful techniques and learning more about him and how to strike like him. All right, it has been a moment since we did episodes in this series. Why have I strayed away from it a little bit when so many of you were enjoying the episodes? I need somebody that I get excited about, that I really want to watch a lot of their fights, dive into, and just share with you what I see that makes them so spectacular. It's been a while since I've seen anybody new where I went, ooh, this guy's really good at his striking. And Rodriguez is somebody who piqued my interest, and because he's fighting Volk this Saturday, I went, we might as well cover this dude right now. And today's episode is sponsored by XMartial. These guys have so much awesome training apparel. They have training gear, they have apparel for streetwear. Anything you guys need, it's there. I'm gonna put a link down below. Be sure to check it out and use my promo code to save 10%. Now let's get into Rodriguez. What makes this guy so good? The first thing that I noticed when I started watching him, especially versus Emmett in his most recent fight, this dude, his movement is pretty spectacular. He's on the go. He can move sideways really well. He's just always stopping and going. You think he's gonna go this way and then he'll stop and he'll switch. And this keeps his opponents guessing where he's gonna be, and it makes them more hesitant to actually attack. In addition, his backwards movement is quite good. He's able to maintain good distance range, and he can scoot backwards and then catch his angles. And his forwards movement is pretty spectacular too. He's able to rush in fairly quick. Overall, this movement is making it very difficult for people to track him or to avoid him, because when he goes on the attack, he's very explosive. Now, if we want to do something where we work on our footwork, very often people do basic things. I was doing this in a Zoom private today. And by the way, I'm gonna have a link down below. If you wanna book a Zoom private with me, you can do that for a limited amount of time right now, where I work with you one-on-one. So I was doing my Zoom private with the dude, and I was saying, okay, yeah, if you want to improve your footwork, we can go through all the bouncy stuff the way you normally move, but sometimes it's good to challenge yourself and do silly things like foot forward, foot back, foot forward, foot back, and then you start throwing punches. This actually would be great movement training for somebody like Rodriguez, because he's very good at utilizing little stance switches. We'll talk about that more in an upcoming point. But what we really want to note with this dude is the footwork is really good. He's on the balls of the feet. His heels are off the ground, and you guys can do this any way you want. You could do something like step out, step out, step out, step out. And when you start doing little things like this, especially when you start going faster and you have a little pattern, then something like this becomes so much easier. So challenge yourself on those footwork drills. A lot of people use agility ladders. Those are great too, but you don't need them. You can do a lot of stuff just from this tiny little space where you just do little micro movements and you're just on the go, just moving around. All that's gonna help a whole lot. The next thing which I wanna focus on is Rodriguez's ability to switch stances. He does it so fast, and his attacks off it are so quick. And the reason I really like this is because it allows him to set up this massive left round kick, which he has. He'll be standing here, and all of a sudden here, and then boom, he's taking advantage of that opposite stance, southpaw versus orthodox, most of the time. Most people, when they stance switch, they're not going to strike as well, but in addition, their defense is going to be massively compromised. But the time which it takes him to switch and attack is pretty spectacular. Generally, when we want to do something like this, kick off the lead leg, we're going to do that from here, little hop skip sort of thing, like a little offbeat timing. 1, 2, but he actually goes to here. He just jumps. Now this gives him the ability to really load up, but also throw power hands if he wants. When we do this little shuffle, the hands are not going to be very solid. So stance switching, if you can pull it off, which not everybody can. I don't love doing it myself, but the stance switching makes him exceptional. I think it's something which you could work, but always start off and build your foundation in one stance first. Get very confident there and then work. After you're good over here, adding in the stance switch. Don't be somebody who's 6 months in trying to learn both stances. It's gonna mess up your overall game. The next thing which I wanna touch on is this guy's kicks. Now we already focused on his ability, well very quickly we touched on it, how he can blast in that left round kick. One of the things that I usually note when I watch UFC fighters kick is it's not a nice Muay Thai style kick. Now I'm not saying it has to be a Muay Thai style kick to be effective, but let's face it, Muay Thai fighters have the best kicks in the world. They can generate the most power, the kick looks really good, and they are so balanced. That's why they're able to kick off multiple times, even alternating legs. But usually, MMA fighters don't have that nice looking kick. Rodriguez does. Now I'm not saying do anything massively different, I'm saying just continue to work your normal, beautiful Muay Thai kicks. You'll note when he does it, he gets the pivot, he elevates through the ball of the foot, he gets his hand in the right position, he does everything which you should for a high level round kick. And he doesn't expose himself to the takedowns, which is why many MMA fighters kick a little different than a Muay Thai style kick. I think they're worried about that takedown, so they stay a little lower. They don't rotate their body as much. They look much more rigid. Rodriguez is showing us that you can absolutely use these Muay Thai kicks in an MMA fight, and they are so deadly. The way he was lighting up Emmett's body, holy smokes, the power there, the precision was beautiful. Do not discount basics. Something like switch the stance and slam in a left round kick. It might seem basic. Maybe, oh, that's so basic it won't work at a high level, but it absolutely does. You just need to get really good at it. The next thing which I note in Rodriguez is his amazing ability to understand range. He knows exactly where somebody can hit him and exactly where somebody can't hit him. We already talked about that great movement which he has. As he backs up, he just stays out of range and people are throwing, like Emmett was launching punches, and his understanding of where he needs to be to just avoid them but not get too far away is so phenomenal. This is something which many people don't understand. They don't know that here I can get hit, here I can't get hit. If you have longer arms, here I can land, here the other guy is just gonna brush me. We have to have that amazing ability to know exactly where we can get hit and we can't. And when you can understand that, then you can hit people and then start backpedaling like Rodriguez does with some extra movement, and you become so hard to tag. In fact, the only time in this fight where I saw him in danger of getting hit is when he moves forward and Emmett throws back at him. In that moment, because he's on that forward train and he doesn't always get his head off the center line, he exposes himself to counters. But in general, when he's here and he's staying long, he can just get that little bit of maneuver backwards, or when he starts backpedaling, hard guy to land on. If this is something you are wanting to work, I would suggest having somebody stand in front of you and just chase you down. They're gonna be standing here and they're just gonna kind of throw, and you're not gonna run straight backwards and not think of anything. You're gonna go backwards, a little bit of head movement, and just try to occasionally pull, let the footwork do a little bit of the work for you, and overall, just get used to, okay, he can't hit me, he can't hit me, he can't hit me. When you feel safe, then you can throw your counter shot, or you can back up and then catch your angle to the side, as Rodriguez does very well before his back hits that cage side. And the last thing out of Rodriguez, which I see as extremely valuable to him and very high level, is his ability to have such a variety in his striking arsenal. He has that great left round kick, and he threw it many times in his fight against Emmett, but he will also bust out fancy things. He'll throw scissor knees. He'll let his hands go. He'll blast up head round kicks. He'll slash in short little elbows. It's very hard to determine what's gonna come or predetermine what's gonna come because that variety is there. And people discount variety sometimes. If you're super high level and you're just a phenom, somebody like Floyd Mayweather, where you can throw the same thing over and over and over and people just can't stop you, that's great. That's amazing. Not many people can do that. You become predictable if you throw the same thing too many times in most fighters. So Rodriguez always mixing it up is making him so dangerous. You don't know what's coming. You don't know what range he's going to be dangerous at, because he's really dangerous at all of them. And that's because he has short techniques. He has those mid-range techniques. He has those super long techniques, and they come from anywhere. They come from any angle. He could be jumping. He could be squatting down, throwing. He's hard to read. And that is something which you can train when you're on the bag by yourself, just by going, every time I throw something, I'm going to try and mix it up. I'm going to try and be a Taekwondo fighter from the outside and blast a side kick. Then I'm going to try and do some sort of Muay Thai style move where I come with a spinning elbow. Then I'm going to go to my boxing hands and finish with a head knee. The more variety you have, the harder it is for people to start figuring out what you're going to do before you do it. And the last point that I want to touch on today, last thing that I want to touch on today is just addressing this upcoming fight between Rodriguez and Volkanovski. This is two names, Volkanovski. I got it there. We're going to talk about that just for a split second. I know many people are going to want my take on this fight because we have two fantastic strikers. Alex, he's a hard guy to beat. He just is so dialed in. He's so strong for that weight class, having dropped from something like 200 pounds down to now 145 when he used to be a rugby player. I think he was over 200 pounds. He's just so good, bouncy, evasive. You're just going to want to know, who do I think is going to win? I'm going to pick Alexander Volkanovski for the win. I think Rodriguez has a good chance of landing some super dangerous shots, but I don't know if he's going to be able to pick him apart the way he did Emmett. It's going to be an interesting fight. I'm really looking forward to watching, but if I had to have a gun to my head, who do you pick? Definitely going for Volkanovski, although this episode is based on Rodriguez, and I absolutely love his striking style. So whoever wins, I'm going to be happy, and just hopefully we see a spectacular striking fight. So let's call it there, guys. If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to give it a like. If you have not already, join the channel, get subscribed. Up there, I'm going to put a link to the playlist of this whole thing where you can go and check out similar episodes with Macau, Georgia Petrosian, Conor McGregor, Canelo. I think we're on something like closing in on episode 30 in this series. So many fighters which I have covered and lots to learn. I'll see you guys back here soon for another video.